Welcome to Finding Forgiveness, a family fairy tale podcast. Join host Susan Gibson as she summons the courage to ask the hard questions, probes deep, dark secrets, and attempts to fill in the gaps while exploring the relationship between her and her mother. Discover the magic of self-discovery, relationship exploration, and the profound journey of forgiveness. Now, your host, Susan Gibson.
Hi, I'm Susan Gibson, and I welcome you to my podcast, Finding Forgiveness, a Family Fairy Tale. Have you ever wanted to ask the question to a loved one or a family member or your mother that you didn't have the courage to ask? Well, I've written a letter to my mother to help explain some of the things that I've been feeling these past couple of years. I invite you to listen as I share my letter with you. Hi, Mom. It's me, Susan. It's been 2 years since you passed away, September 17, 2021. I thought I'd catch you up on all that I've been doing since then. When I got the call from a hospice facility that you were in the night that you passed away, I wasn't there with you. You'd been in hospice for a few days. I could have stayed there with you. It was during COVID, but even so, they had a beautiful facility and a place for me to stay. But I chose not to because I knew that if you were aware that I was staying there, you would have been worried about me because of my insomnia that I've suffered with all my life, really. And I would not have been able to sleep, and you have been concerned about my lack of sleep, especially during this intense time with you. So I was back home with Siraj in the apartment we had rented just a few weeks prior, just a couple of blocks away from you. I'm glad I was home with him when I got the call. I knew when I left you that day, your death was imminent. The palliative care doctor who was taking care of me let me know what was coming. And she told me the signs were there. It was not going to be much longer. And so when I bid you goodbye that day, I went home and spent some time with Siraj. And just after midnight, early morning of September 17, I got the call. And I have to say, at first I felt relief. You were finally free from pain. You'd suffered so greatly for the past 30 years with rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and congestive heart failure. You finally were free of pain. Also went numb. We'd been through such an intense experience together up to that moment, and it was a continuing shock. I realized many weeks later I'd been in a state of shock for several weeks already, and this amplified that feeling of shock. But I called Gary, and the three of us piled into our vehicle, and Siraj drove us to the hospice facility. When we arrived, oh my goodness, the people there were just amazing, and they had prepared you so beautifully, Mom. You always took such great care of your skin, and your face was smooth and porcelain and, oh, so relaxed. No pain. Absolutely beautiful. And after the three of us could spend some time with you, speaking quietly to one another, wishing you farewell, we needed to move on to the next step. You had made it clear to me many years ago that you had worked with an agency to donate your body for medical and scientific research after you passed, and that they would cremate you according to your wishes and then give me your remains when they were done. And what's really funny is that a few weeks prior, before any of this acceleration towards your death happened, you told me you had contacted them just kind of out of the blue to make sure everything was in order. And so I called them and I went through a questionnaire with them, and they respectfully denied taking you at this time, that your ailments and diseases were not ones that they were currently researching. Another moment of shock, a bit of a breakdown. And then I say, okay, what am I going to do? And thankfully, Gary came to aid. You know, he's been such a support to both of us all these years. And he said, Neptune Society is the one agency that took care of his dad when he passed away, and who will take care of him when he passes as well. They're a cremation society around the world. So I called them, and once they were assured that that was your wish to be cremated, they came immediately. And they are an amazing agency. They took care of all these details for me. I did not have to worry or concern myself with anything associated to the kind of the business of your death. Just deep appreciation for the service that they bring. Once that was settled and hospice knew what was coming next, and that the folks from Neptune Society would be coming to remove you from the facility, we were free to go. So Siraj and Gary and I went back and went about our day. Our first day without you, Mom. I knew what I needed to do. I needed to clear out your cabinet in the kitchen with all of your medicines in there. That was on your mind frequently, that if anybody got a hold of that medication, you know, you had some heavy-duty meds that you'd been taking for a long time, that, you know, you did not want that falling into anybody's hands. You didn't want anybody breaking in to get that. Plus, hospice care in your home for those a few days before you were moved to the facility, they also had some very heavy-duty meds. And so I knew my first order of business was to clear out your medicine cabinet, take it to the police station in the community just a few blocks from where you were living, and dispose of it properly in the receptacle that they had there. That gave me a sigh of relief, quite frankly, because people would know that you were no longer there. They would have seen all the activity coming and going, and I did not want to take a chance that your medicines would fall into people's hands, that it was best to dispose of it all. My second item of business was to take care of the cats, Princess and Mama Baby. You know, they were like two little innocent witnesses to your life together, and they needed to be well taken care of. They were used to having you there with them every day, all day long, talking and talking and talking, and you were no longer there. So I started calling no-kill shelters, those that you had donated to and worked with pro bono over the years as an accountant. And this was, you know, we were in the height of COVID. Nobody was taking in animals. They told me if I found a foster family, they would help me place them, but there was no chance for them to be able to take in Princess and Mama Baby. So what was I going to do? I knew that they needed to be well taken care of, and I knew that I couldn't give up your apartment until they had a home. And so there were things on the list that needed to get done that I couldn't do without taking care of them first. So I did one last Google search. I expanded my search to the county, and lo and behold, I found a new facility, a county facility in southern Florida that had a no-kill shelter, cats and dogs. And so I went out there by myself, and I checked it out. And Mom, it was a beautiful facility. It is a beautiful facility. Bright, airy, full of life and energy, bright colors, lots of toys. When I got there, the adoption center was just alive with energy. Children and adults and just fun, loving energy. I could see where all the cats were, and they had just fantastic spaces and lots of toys and things to climb on. They even had rooms where the new adoptive family could meet their pet and play with them for the first time. I thought, okay, this is the place. This is the place. Princess and Mama Baby will find a loving family here. I have no doubt. And until they do, they will be well taken care of. Just beautiful. And the place was very big. And so I walked around outside because where I was not where you actually surrendered the pets. It took me a while to realize that this was all about the adoption side. So I walked around the facility and went past the outdoor pens for all the big dogs to be able to exercise, get some fresh air and play. And in the back, they had the surrender center. And it was COVID, so everybody was queued out outside. And Mom, I have to tell you, that's the saddest place on earth. For people to give up their pets, their loved pets, for any reason. And I waited my time, waited my turn. And when it was my turn to go inside, I explained to them that you had passed, you had 2 cats that you loved and took care of for many years, and I needed to find them a good home. And so they told me, well, realistically, it will take about 3 weeks. I thought, oh my goodness, 3 weeks. Okay. And it's 2 visits. And the first one is with the vet to make sure they are healthy. And that takes about a week or so to get that appointment. And then the follow-on will be the surrender appointment, which again takes about a week to 2 weeks for that appointment to come up. So I said, okay, I know what I need to do. And so 3 weeks was the deadline, and 3 weeks is what I had to work with. So I went back to your apartment, and I let the housing administrator know. It was all part of your church community that you belonged to and had been part of for 30 years, and let them know that 3 weeks is what we've got to look at here. And so then I started going through what are the other things that I need to take care of. Thankfully, you and I had gone through a couple of rounds of decluttering and giving away items that you were no longer using over the past few months. And so I pretty much knew what you wanted to do with your things and where everything was, even though I'd been coming there for a long time, all the nooks and crannies we had gone through. And so I first went through all the things that I wanted to keep, what's important to me and our legacy as a family. Great Grammy's traveling trunk, amazing wooden trunk with iron strappings, Grammy's aprons that were very dear to you and your memory of your mother and my grandmother, and then all the photographs and mementos that I wanted to keep for my memory of you, and of course your cell phone. You were always with your cell phone, and so that has remained my memento of you to this day. I will keep that red cell phone always, just like you did Grammy's aprons and Great Grammy's traveling trunk. So once I got through all of that, a few days had gone by. It was time to take a look at the business that you conducted for your friends and for the church as a retired accountant. And so I went through all of your files in your computer, contacted everybody that you had worked with in that regard, and let them know, I can share their private tax information and financial information with them and, close off that part of your life as well. And so as the weeks went by and I continued to go through your desk and your personal effects, I found a lot of secrets that I had no idea about. And that's all part of our family fairy tale. We're a family of secrets. And I wish you and I had taken the opportunity and the courage to talk to each other all these years about these secrets. We just, we lost those opportunities with each other. And now I am on a quest to fill some gaps and talk about family secrets that we've held close to our heart for generations. And it's important for us to bring them out into the light. It's important for me to heal, and it's important for others to hopefully realize that before it's too late, have the courageous conversations, ask the hard questions, and don't take a no for an answer. But as I continued to clear out your apartment and used our good friends at Junk King for that amazing service, and could hand your apartment back once the cats were successfully surrendered, which ended up taking much less than 3 weeks, I'm happy to say. We all had a good time, the Mama Baby and Princess and I, clearing out your apartment. I would put on, our favorite songs from the 60s and 70s, the Carpenters, the Bee Gees, and I'd sing and dance around with Princess, having just a ball, and Mama Baby hiding and glowering at us as usual, as we went through the task of clearing out your lifetime in your apartment. And it came time to surrender them to this facility, and your good friends, Mimi and her son, came by and helped me capture Mama Baby. Princess was easy. She was always up for a good adventure. Mama Baby, not so much, but they helped me, and I took them out and surrendered them and said goodbye and felt so happy, Mom. You would have been just so happy that they were on to their new life as well, as was I. And so that first month, when we got your remains and your urn back from Neptune Society, you came to live with Siraj and I. And, I'd asked you years ago to come and live with us, and it wasn't practical, and I knew it was going to be a no, but I wanted you to know our wishes were to have you with us so many years ago. And now you were. And I remember when we got this apartment and we surprised you with it, and you said, when I'm feeling better, I'm going to come and visit you. Well, you had been out of your apartment for a pleasure visit in a long, long time, but your excitement and enthusiasm were there, and just really a beautiful, beautiful thought. And so you did come and live with us. And we prepared a special place in our apartment for you with a Zen garden and a miniature bonsai tree that Gary named Bertie. And it was so beautiful, so tranquil, so much at peace. And we just loved having you there with us. We loved having you there with us. At the end of the month, we had your celebration of life ceremony with the church, with the pastor giving a beautiful service. All your friends spoke. I shared a lot of beautiful things about our life together. Friends sang, read from scripture, and Siraj read one of his poems. Just lovely. And the pastor broadcast it over YouTube so that all of our friends and family from northern Maine and other parts of the world could participate as well. Just a lovely, lovely end of month. So everything in that first month had been taken care of. I felt so good that it all got done. Your meds, your cats, your tax relationships and friend relationships, taking care of you as your last wishes that you had in your will as well, donation to the church, cremating you, and your celebration of life. I'm so thankful that was a month to do that. I don't know if I could have done that immediately following your death. I have great respect for people who do that following the death of a loved one. I was in mud that whole month. I feel that I needed that time and space to really get through all the things that I needed to get through in that first month. And then celebration of life happened. Absolutely a beautiful, beautiful memorial to you. I had one last wish to take care of from your will, and that was to bury you in our small town cemetery in northern Maine, in the town of Parham, next to your baby, my older brother. It took about a year for us to do that. It was August 6, 2022. Siraj and I made an epic journey from South Florida to northern Maine with you and your urn in tow with us, and met the family there. Just had an amazing, amazing time and memory sharing, storytelling with all of them. And on a very beautiful, bright, blue, sunshiny day at the top of the hill in the cemetery in northern Maine, little town of Parham, we laid you to your final resting place, next to your baby, just as you asked. And all I could think about was the Carpenters song. When I was growing up, you used to love them so much, and their song, Top of the World. And I thought, well, Mom, here you are. You are on top of the world, and you are finally home. I love you, Mom. I miss you, and I think about you. Every day I think about you. You are in my heart and in my thoughts. Oh, goodness. Until another time, Mom. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to invite all of you, if you're having a difficult relationship and you don't know how to start the conversation, write a letter. Write a letter to that person. You don't have to share it. And if you want to, you can share it with me. You can send it to Hello Susan at findingforgivenesspodcast.com. As I mentioned in my family fairy tale, secrets are sacred in my family, and your secrets would be sacred with me. They will remain forever a secret. I know sharing this letter that I have shared with you, with my mother, has given me great relief. It's opened up other possibilities as well, and opportunities for me to explore more deeply into the family fairy tale that is my life with my mother. I hope it has given you a little bit of relief, and I hope if you do choose to write a letter to that loved one, you can find some relief that way. And you know what I've learned all these years, that all we can do is take life one moment at a time. I'm grateful for the moments I've had with my mother, the fun ones, the painful ones, and always the loving ones. Thank you for being with me today and listening to my first podcast, Finding Forgiveness, a Family Fairy Tale. I welcome your comments. Until next time, I'm Susan Gibson, signing off with gratitude and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Finding Forgiveness, a Family Fairy Tale podcast. To continue the conversation, visit findingforgivenesspodcast.com and send an email to hellosusan@findingforgivenesspodcast.com to share your story. Until we meet again.